Hey, y'all. We're looking at and discussing the 7 I am statements of Jesus in the book of John. This week, we're going to look at his statement in John chapter 8 I am the light of the world. Many years ago, when I was beginning my life in the Marine Corps, I was learning how to work on air conditioners. And at the very beginning of our training, our instructor asked us, how do you measure cold? Well, we all answered the same thing. You just get out a thermometer and you measure how cold it is. What we didn't realize is that it was a trick question. We don't measure cold. Cold is not really measurable. What we do is measure heat. And what we think of as cold is actually the absence of heat. This was vitally important in air conditioning training because what an air conditioner does is actually pulls the heat out of the room and blows it outside where the rest of the heat is. As I was thinking about this, I realized that the same is true with darkness. How do we measure darkness? You might have been in a place where you couldn't see literally the hand in front of your face. It was so dark. But we actually don't measure darkness. We measure the light in the room or the lack of light. And as the light lessens, then the shadows become stronger. The darkness grows. Why is that important? Because so often in our lives, we are overcome by the negative, by the shadow, by the darkness. But the reality is those things only exist because of the light. When we look at what Jesus was saying in John chapter 8, we have to go back all the way to Genesis chapter 1, where God created the heavens and the earth. And the very first thing that he said was, "Let there be light." And there was light. Light and darkness became a fact in the universe from the very beginning. And from that point on, they have been symbolic and indicative of good and evil, sin and righteousness that reigns in the world in which we live. Later, in the very beginning of the book of John, he begins to talk about Jesus, who is the Word of God, and he said, "In him was life, and the life was the light of men. And the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it." You see, the light of the truth of the gospel overcomes the darkest sin in our lives. The light of the truth of the gospel is life itself for a world that is dying, for a life that is dead. And so Jesus, who is that life and that light, said in John 8, "I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will not walk in darkness, but will have light, the light of life." You see, we're not just meant to grope around in our lives and just do the best we can to stay out of trouble. That's a meager existence at best. God has an abundant life for us where we can live for him according to his word. His word is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path. You see, when Jesus in John chapter 8 said, "I am the light of the world," this created a firestorm of controversy. As you read the rest of the chapter, The religious leaders of the day did everything they could to discredit what he was saying. Jesus was once again making a claim of deity, making a claim that he is God incarnate. We know from John chapter 1 as well as Colossians that all things were made by him, and that without him not anything was made that was made. And so what does that mean? That means when God spoke, "Let there be light" in Genesis 1, it was Jesus who was speaking those words. You see, all the way back then, he understood the significance of light and of darkness and the role these two things would play in our lives. For a guy who spent a good portion of his life walking around in the dark, stumbling from mistake to mistake, just trying to do the best I could, what a glorious thing it was when I finally saw the light. That light is there for you as well. As you live your life, follow the light, because the darkness cannot overcome it. Jesus is the light of the world. God bless you.